رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to my channel, The Tranquil Soul. In last episode, we talked about the 5 rotis, right? I hope you had a chance to make some rotis and reflect on your emotional experiences and the triggers behind them. So for today's episode, I would like to share my favorite tool in therapy and outside of therapy, and that is the feelings wheel. The feelings wheel can actually help you with certain steps of the roti framework, right? So when it comes to researching and reflecting, right, the feelings wheel can be very helpful with being able to figure out the underlying emotion, the actual emotion and the underlying emotion, and then reflecting on it to see the possible reasons regarding why you could be feeling the way you are. Okay, so before we start talking about this feelings wheel, and I know this is not the one that was shared on the channel, my WhatsApp channel, but I personally like to use this one. I will share a copy of it. This is not my own. This is something that I found online, and I really like using this one because it's very detailed, as you can see. So, okay, but before I explain to you how to use it, we need to first understand how it can help, right? So let me ask you this. Has anybody, whenever someone's asked you, how are you feeling? Have you ever responded with, I don't know, I'm not sure, or I'm fine? Fine is not a feeling. And, sometimes, honestly, we really don't know, right? And so this tool can actually help us to increase our own emotional vocabulary, right? Really just becoming more aware of our own emotional states, because it's easier to pay attention to the emotional states of others than our own. Introspection, self-reflection is not easy, is it? So this is where this tool can help. It can also help you when you are trying to empathize with others, right? For instance, if somebody is, they just appear angry, and that is one way to look at it, is just like conclude that they're angry. But when you look at the wheel and you look at how it is detailed, in terms of how it starts with angry, and then it just has these underlying feelings, you are better able to empathize with them, because now you know that anger is just a mask. And when you know how you're feeling, it really just increases your own self-awareness and helps you to identify areas of strength and areas of weakness, therefore giving you the opportunity to work on yourself. It can also help you to figure out what your values are in life, right? When we really just reflect on our emotions and the underlying triggers and reasons, it can make us more aware of, what do I really value in life, right? And another one is to be able to help you with decision making as well, right? Because if I'm just going off of my primary emotion of anger, but I'm not really reflecting on the underlying emotion that's causing it, it can hinder me from making an effective decision, right? And I will explain all of that. So bismillah, let's dive in. Okay, so the first circle that you see here, these are the emotions that we generally, these are our go-to emotions, right? Whenever we generally express ourselves in terms of, I feel happy, or I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm mad, I am fearful, I'm surprised. And in fact, we don't even sometimes go to, fearful or disgusted. We just like stick to the basic ones: happy, sad, angry, mad, right? So now let's take a look at this one, just to help you understand this better. Let's explore angry. So say there are two people, right? I ask someone, how are you feeling? And they both say, I'm angry, right? I'm angry. Okay, well, what's making you angry? I don't know. I'm just angry. Okay, so let's explore this, right? So, angry is where you start. Now you recognize the emotion, it's anger. Now let's look at the second circle under anger. And you see a list of feelings here, right? It could be you're feeling angry because you were let down by somebody. You could be feeling angry because you were humiliated, bitter, mad, aggressive, frustrated, distant, critical. Now they might say, well, my friend betrayed me, right? So betrayal. Okay, so you're feeling angry. You're actually feeling betrayed, right? Now, this person B, who's also feeling angry and they don't know why, they could be feeling angry because they look at the wheel and they go, you know, I'm actually feeling jealous. I'm jealous because I feel jealous because this person got something that I really wanted for myself. Oh, okay. So you're feeling, one person is feeling betrayed, and the other is feeling, one person's feeling betrayed, and the other's feeling jealous. Now, do you think both of them would require the same approaches, right? So, say the person who's feeling betrayed, they might have to deal with things like grief, for instance, or they might have to deal with boundary setting, right? It could be that they offered themselves a little too much and their boundary was violated, right? So that is a recognition, right? That is a realization. That's an insight into, okay, my weaknesses, right? My areas for improvement, rather, right? And so, on the other hand, if the person says that they're actually feeling, let's say, they're feeling jealous in this case, right? Now they might realize that they feel, it might just open doors to a certain insecurity, a personal limitation, something that they feel like they cannot have, right? Or that might actually give them some more insight into into the things that they value, right? So both of them, right? Both of them are angry. They said, I feel angry, right? Same emotion, different message, different response, right? The person who's jealous might be pointing towards an insecurity, or it could be reminding them of something that they deeply value and they wish to achieve, right? Or they might be just comparing themselves, right? Betrayal could be grieving the loss of trust, grieving the loss of a relationship, somebody that might need healing, forgiveness, learning how to set healthy boundaries. Isn't it interesting? So our emotions are information. They're not always instructions, right? And they are definitely not our identity. They're just like trying to tell us. It's just like GPS, right? Trying to guide us. And so the better we understand, the better we can choose our response. And so that is the feelings wheel. You can use the same for the other emotions, for happy. You can do the same for sad. You can do the same for fearful. And this can help you to increase in self-awareness, and therefore it can help you to respond maturely, right? Okay, so now time for the tranquil soul reflection. So as a Muslim, right, now as a therapist, I love this wheel, but as a Muslim I just find this wheel very limiting, because as Muslims, our work just end with okay, well, I'm feeling jealous or I'm feeling betrayed and now I need to work on that, right? But I often wonder, like, what if we just go deeper, right? And so just like I felt inspired by the works of Dr. Brené Brown. She has this book, Atlas of the Heart, in which she describes these emotions and places where they come from. And then also like some books on spiritual diseases of the heart and purification of the heart. And it just led me to coming up with kind of like my own version of the wheel. And so that's what we're gonna do. And we're just gonna look at so that's just like my personal tool that I like to use, because my work does not just end with recognizing, researching, and reflecting, and just like basic, superficial reflecting. My reflecting should go deeper. And so I like to use my emotions and my feelings and underlying feelings to help me to identify potential spiritual diseases. Yeah, so basically what I ended up doing, what I like to do, is I just like to add like an extra circle. And I will share the updated infographic. I know I did share one, but I'll share maybe like a simpler one. So just once I know if I'm feeling, right, let's see, clearly not a circle. So if I know I'm feeling jealous versus betrayed, right? It comes from my anger. And this is just a circle. So then I can reflect on the condition of my heart. I can look up spiritual diseases of the heart and see if my anger is not just a one-time thing, but it's a pattern, and it points to me actually struggling with the spiritual disease of anger. So now this is not just like anger that is an emotion. Now it's just anger that's a spiritual condition. So it could be that I need to work on my spiritual state, my spiritual illness. Now, if I figure out that I feel jealous, and I can identify if there's a pattern, right? And if there's a pattern, then I know maybe what if I actually struggle with hasad? And you know what that is? That is not an easy realization, right? It can be very uncomfortable to sit with your emotions and have these insights and realize, that we need to work on ourselves. But that is the ultimate goal, right? That is the idea. Is why is emotional awareness important? Because we want to understand ourselves better, to appreciate and apply what we've learned, and therefore become better worshippers of Allah, have a deeper connection with Allah. So it could also be, for instance, if I'm feeling, I realize, oh, maybe I need to work on hasad. It could also be that my jealousy or my betrayal, right? Betrayal makes me realize that I was too attached to the role, right? So it could be hubbi dunya, right? Love of the world. Maybe that's where it was coming from, right? Maybe it was coming from my jealousy stems from, my excessive love of wealth, right? It could be, it is really difficult to just kind of like have, to kind of like attach certain diseases to like certain emotions, because they can be they're very broad, right? But personally, that is what I mean when I call it the Muslim version of the wheel, because I like to use this information and not just limit it to well, this is how I'm feeling and this is why I'm feeling this. As a Muslim, for me, it goes back to, right? As a Muslim, it goes back to, for all of us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I have not created the jinn and mankind except to worship me. And that's the point of it all. It's just like, how can I use this information to make me a better worshiper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And so my journey does not just end with identifying jealous or betrayed. My journey continues with identifying the list of spiritual diseases, and then remember, focusing on the three fingers pointing back at you, right? Instead of the one finger pointing back at someone else, right? And that's where that is where we need to be. So this week, I hope this made sense. For this episode, I have a very simple challenge for you, right? Just literally the feelings wheel challenge, right? So take a look at the feelings wheel and use it. Get comfortable with it, refer to it, become familiar with it in terms of, and start using it to even identify some of the the less complicated emotions, right? Sometimes it's just it could be, oh, I'm feeling happy. Let's see what kind of happy I'm feeling. It could literally just be that as well, right? Because sometimes even that could reveal something, right? Where our attachments lie, and therefore, could I be feeling happy for something that's not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's just interesting, right? And so I invite you to reflect on, use the feelings wheel to recognize, right? The first three rotis: recognize, research, so get curious, and then reflect. And then the final episode for the series, in terms of skills, we will go over some techniques to use on how you can start to reframe. I hope this was helpful. Next episode, we will go over some skills for reframing, and I will briefly talk to you about the rule of thoughts and how we can and how thoughts play a part in creating and preserving emotions. So inshallah this was helpful. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wa zidna 'ilma. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.